Hello.
Hello.
Check
Check
one,
1
two.
2. Hello.
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 Check
Check
one,
1
two.
2. All right. What's up, guys? I'm Brandon. This is Vanessa, and this is the Snipe Life. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to be talking about something kind of interesting. Some news has broke within the last week about a famous pastor named Carl Lentz. I'm sure you've heard of him. But we kind of wanted to talk about the situation and then how we respond to things like this. So obviously, this is not the first time that a pastor has had a moral failure or that someone has, failed you in your life, right? And I know that there's a lot of people that looked up to Carl Lentz. Not us personally. We're not really into celebrity pastors, but I know that a lot of people were let down by this, and I've seen it in the past where pastors have had failures or they've gotten fired from the church for whatever reason, and a lot of people are let down, and it causes them to question their faith and question what they think about people in general. So today we want to talk about a little bit of that and kind of get into kind of what's going on. So here we go.
So this is a statement that came out from Hillsong on the 4th. Today, Hillsong Church East Coast advised our congregation that we have terminated employment of Pastor Carl Lentz. This action was not taken lightly and was done in the best interest of everyone, including Carl Lentz.
Yeah. So they announced that they were going to terminate his employment, obviously, at Hillsong. He was obviously a pastor at Hillsong, New York, which is a huge mega church. He's really famous for like being Justin Bieber's pastor and just kind of the guy that would live in the secular world in a lot of ways and kind of pastor from there. So then after Hillsong kind of put that out, either a day later or so, he put out his own kind of explanation of what's going on. So I'll read that. Our time at Hillsong, New York has come to an end. This is a hard ending to what has been the most amazing, impacting, and special chapter of our lives. Leading this church has been an honor in every sense of the word, and it is impossible to articulate how much we have loved and will always love the amazing people in this church. When you accept the calling of being a pastor, you must live in such a way that it honors the mandate, that it honors the church, and that it honors God. When that does not happen, a change needs to be made, and has been made in this case to ensure that the standard is upheld. Laura and I and our amazing children have given all that we have to serve and build this church, and over the years I did not do an adequate job of protecting my own spirit, refilling my own soul, and reaching out for the readily available help that is available. When you lead out of an empty place, you make choices that have real and painful consequences. I was unfaithful in my marriage, the most important relationship in my life, and held accountable for that. This failure is on me, and me alone, and I take full responsibility for my actions. I now begin a journey of rebuilding trust with my wife, Laura, and my children, and taking real time to work on and heal my own life and seek out the help that I need. I am deeply sorry for breaking the trust of many people who we have loved serving, and understand that this news can be very hard and confusing for people to hear and to process. And he goes on to kind of talk about just the people that have lifted him up and helped him throughout his career as a pastor, and thanking the leaders of Hillsong and so on and so forth. So obviously this is something that Hillsong, I think, did a good job. I think they did a good job about telling people what was going on without revealing too much of the situation.
Yeah.
He revealed the rest of the situation
Right.
to be transparent. And I think that he did a really good job of coming out and saying, like, this is nobody else's fault. It's all my fault. It doesn't lay on anybody else. It doesn't lay on this other person that he was with, and it's something that him and his family are now going to be walking through, and he understands that it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So that gives me hope, for reconciliation and for forgiveness and good things to happen, because that's the first step, right?
Right.
I don't want to focus in on Carl Lentz and all of what's going on with him, but I want to take this and kind of bring it out into a 5,000-foot view of the world and relationships, and not just relationships like marriage, but relationships even beyond that. What happens when people let you down? What happens when people break your trust? And how do you react to that? And how do, as Christians, how do we come to terms with someone, breaking that trust and making making us second guess everything about them. So let's talk through that a little.
Yeah.
So for me, I think of a couple things that I kind of walk through as people disappoint me, right? So first off, before anything, I try not to hold anybody in too high of a standard. My closest friend Bryce, he is an amazing guy, and he would help me out with pretty much anything. But I've told him before, like, when he'll come to me after he's like, he's promised me he's gonna do something and then he doesn't do it. He comes to me, he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Dude, it's okay. Like, I expect you to fail. I expect you to fail because you're human, and I'm not gonna hold you to a super high standard. So, obviously there eventually comes consequences, right? Eventually, there comes a point when things have to change and there's boundaries that need to be put in place and everything like that. But I expect people in general to fail, and so when they succeed, it's a great realization, like it's a great moment. I can praise them, and they're really great. It's a really great moment to have with them. But when they do fail, I kind of walk through, forgiveness, mercy, and grace, and try to give those things to them as best I can.
Expecting people to fail you, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. Like, I expect people, especially Christians. Like, my problem usually is with Christians. I expect them to know better, And it's kind of, I guess, holding them to a higher standard.
There's a balance there, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
So like, I expect, especially Christians, not to do stupid crap. Like, not to gossip.
Sure.
Are you kidding me? Are you gossiping right now?
Right.
I expect people to be trustworthy, to love, to be kind. But so often, that doesn't happen. So I like your perspective, and I've always looked up to it, but I've never been able to embrace it and to practice it.
But there's a balance there too, because I'm obviously not perfect in what I do, right?
Right, so because sometimes you could you have the tendency of letting people walk over you, or
sure, yeah, because I'm forgiving in my nature. I often will just allow people infinite chances, and so when Jesus says, how many times should we forgive? 77 times 7. I think that he doesn't say forever for a reason. I think that there's a balance there, and so there are times when you need to forgive, but there are times when you need to yes, forgive, but there needs to be an addition to that, a boundary to that, a breaking off of relationship in some cases with that. And so
there's a season for everything, so sometimes that friendship has to just end.
Or even more seriously, let's say you had a parent that was, destroying your marriage. Then there could be a point where you break off that relationship even with your parent. And so there is a balance to all of it for sure. But let's jump into forgiveness and what that even looks like, just in any situation.
I know you gotta forgive. I know, like, it becomes this bitterness, this hardening of your heart. Like, it's and forgiveness is for you. Because if you don't forgive, like I said, it's bitterness and hardness, but I don't. How do you walk through that, Brandon?
So there's a few things that I think of personally. So forgive and forget is, I think, a bad phrase.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you need to keep into account. You don't need to keep an account, but you need to put on the scale basically, like, what, like, has somebody wronged you so much that, like I said before, you need to break off that relationship, or is it something that can be moved on? Is it something that can be forgotten? Because some things can. I think small things like, if I put the toilet paper in the thing the wrong way, like, that's...
We don't care about that.
We don't personally, but if something's small like that, or if I accidentally put a spoon in the fork section of the drawer, right?
This is relevant.
If I were to do something like that, like, you're not gonna hold that in 30 years and be like, why did you do that in 2020? Hopefully.
I feel like you're talking about the wrong person.
The hope would be that, anyways. But forgive and forget, I think, is... it's not something that I hold to, because I think that you need to remember what has happened in your life in order for you to make smart decisions moving forward in that relationship.
Sure.
And so forgiveness, yes. If someone hurts me, my goal is to rebuild that relationship, right? Even if I've done nothing wrong, my goal is to rebuild that relationship because I love the person and I want them in my life, and I know that they have something to offer my life, and God has put them there for a reason. And so I want to rebuild that relationship and maybe teach them something through that, and maybe teach myself something through that, and walk with them. I think it's extremely important to do that. Let's talk about mercy. Mercy is God saying, okay, well, you deserve death, but I'm going to send my son and save you, even though you deserve death, and I'm going to give you life. And so for us in our lives, we have to practice that same thing. Mm-hmm. We have to practice mercy. So when Vanessa does something to wrong me or something to hurt me, I try my best to first give her mercy and say, it's okay, let's move on, let's live our lives, and then I work on forgiveness after that. So mercy, then forgiveness.
With me, mercy is easier for me.
Okay.
Because I'm justice driven, right? Mm-hmm. So like people deserve punishment, right? Like when they mess up, in my mind, there should be justice, there should be punishment. Mm-hmm. That's almost what justice is, right? In my eyes, is like punishment.
Justice is justice. Whether it's good or bad determines on the justice.
Sure. But I mean, what moves me most is injustice. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
So for me, learning mercy, which I feel was recent, like, in the past year, maybe, I can be like, you deserve this punishment, mm-hmm. but I'm going to withhold it mm-hmm. because I love you. You know what I mean? Where grace is like, I'm just going to give you this gift. You get what I'm saying?
God's grace and his mercy work together, right? So his mercy is, you deserve death. I'm not going to give you death. Mm-hmm. But the grace is, you deserve death. Not only am I not going to give you death, but I'm going to give you life instead. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about reconciliation for a second. Then, we hear the phrase truth and love all the time. Our goal is to speak to people with truth, but also make sure that they know that we love them and that we care for them. And so even in this moment, right, if someone hurts me, I forgive them, and that is for me, right? That's within myself. Mm-hmm. And then as I go to them to talk to them about what's going on and forgiving them, I speak to them in truth, so I don't hide what they did. I don't make them feel like it's okay, and I don't make them feel like, you don't
sugarcoat it.
They can just do it again. Yeah. Don't sugarcoat it. But at the same time, you want to speak to them in love, mm-hmm. and so it's not hiding the truth, but it's also not destroying them because you can. Mm-hmm. So like Vanessa was talking about with injustice, right? In her mind, when someone does something wrong, you punish them, period. When someone does something right, you award them, right? That's justice. And so in the Christian mind, when someone does something wrong, that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. They don't always get punished to what you think should be the case, right?
Right.
In a Christian mindset, you love on people no matter what, and you go to them and you say, hey, what you did was wrong. Just know that I still love you. Know that I still care about you, and I still want to be your friend. I still want to work with you. Whatever the situation is, but this can't happen again. Whatever it was, or what you did really hurt me. I want you to think about the way that you're treating me or treating the people around me or whatever it is. I think truth and love is extremely important for sure. But I think that there are moments even beyond that, right, where even when you speak truth and love, that person may reject what you're saying. Mm. And they may fight back and they'll say, well, I think you're wrong. I didn't actually do that. Or no, like I think what I did is perfectly fine. Yeah. Just because you think that way doesn't mean that I have to think that way. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are moments when that happens, when you have that disagreement where a couple things can happen, right? In the church, we have like Matthew 18, where it talks about, we reconcile, how we reconcile with the church, within the church. So the first step is to go to that person one-on-one and you talk to them and you say, hey, you really hurt me. can we fix this? And that person says, no, I hate you still. I still want to kill all your family, right?
What?
And then after that doesn't work, right? You go to 2 or 3 other people, so you have some mediators with you to kind of help you to talk through the situation.
With them, not like
With
gossip.
them. Not gossip, yeah.
I hate gossip.
So you take that person, you and them, the person who hurt you, and you go to a couple other people, and you talk through it. If it still doesn't work then you go to the whole church, and you have kind of a conversation and a discussion with the church.
Family meeting.
A family meeting, yeah. And then if that still doesn't work, then you basically eject the person from the church because they've chosen basically not to be a part of the body. And so that's a really hard thing to do. I've only seen it happen a couple of times. Not within our church, maybe, but not for a long time. Within other churches, I've kind of seen that happen before. And it's definitely a hard thing to walk through. So this subject is hard. This subject is a deep one. And it's going to take more time than we have today to talk through it. But here's the bottom line. So someone is going to wrong you in your life. It's how you react that's going to help to see how God moves through it. So do you react in anger? Do you react in hatred? Do you react with physical violence? Or do you react in mercy, in love, and forgiveness? What is going to show that person God's love more? A punch in the face or a hand up to get out of the hole that they're in. So yeah, I think that's kind of just what we're trying to convey. I know that this edit may be super weird and we went all over the place, but we just want to convey that even in this situation, with people like Rob Bell, these are Christian leaders that, one had a moral failure, one has a really weird non-biblical theology. And so these, I take these 2 examples and I think, how do I reconcile Rob Bell and love him if I were to ever meet him or talk to him? But at the same time, speaking truth out of that and saying, well, the Bible says this and God has shown me this in my life, or looking at Carl Lentz and forgiving him if I were to follow him and if I were to, kind of hold him to a standard. How do I come back and love him and forgive him and, show him God's love even through all of what he's done. I think more importantly, outside of the Christian faith, how do we take people that have hurt us and how do we take people that have, wronged us and show them God's love through forgiveness and mercy and grace? How do we do that? Because it's hard. It's not easy. So
right.
I think we have to take it each day, take it each moment, take it each circumstance, and allow God to speak into what we need to do. So
that was hard.
So cool. Thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, this was kind of a different video, but we really wanted to talk about this and just talk about disappointment and forgiveness because it's something that obviously is super important in our marriage, forgiveness and mercy, but also just in life in general. Every single relationship that you have is going to require forgiveness at some point. So get ready for that and become a good forgiver. It's going to be super, super important for you. So yeah, we just wanted to talk to you guys about that today. Like, subscribe, share this video if you have a chance. Also, if you haven't yet, you can click the little bell thingy, and that will notify you anytime we put up a new video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to the OG squad, all of you guys that watched to the end of the video. You guys rock. I guess we'll do another secret word. We haven't done one of those for a while.
Yeah.
Let's say forgiveness is the business. There it is. Forgiveness is the business. And so write that down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to like and comment on those ones. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. If you want to join our Patreon, remember we're doing a giveaway over there when we reach 100 subs. We're getting closer every day. So yeah, thanks. Get your friends to subscribe, your mom to subscribe, your grandma to subscribe with her 10 accounts that she has on YouTube. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Forgiveness is the business. Peace.